Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty RoundTable Radio Talk Show.
All right. Happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. Sam Bushman live on your radio. Hard-hitting news the networks refuse to use, no doubt, starts now. This, my fellow Americans, is the broadcast for July the 16th in the year of our Lord 2025. This is hour one of two. The goal always to protect life, liberty, and property, to promote God, family, and country, through so on your radio in the traditions of our founding fathers. Yes, indeed. The founding fathers put checks and balances in our system, ladies and gentlemen, and these incredible checks and balances are the peaceful solution we have at our fingertips. Yes, indeed. Using the supreme law of the land, the Constitution for the United States of America, we the people can restore the republic. We can reject revolution and stand for peaceful restoration of the greatest country on the face of the earth. After all, we do indeed follow the Prince of Peace. Hey, Liz, did you know today is National Hot Dog Day? Yep, so if you love hot dogs, ladies and gentlemen, today is your day. July 16th, 2025. They say with hot deals across various locations, such as Dog House. I've never been to Dog House, Don't know about that. They call them Love's Travel Stops, Sheiks, Sonic. That's according to the National Hot Dog and Sausage Council. They say, the period from Memorial Day to Labor Day is prime hot dog season, with America purchasing 38% of the annual hot dog sales during this time frame, totaling, is that right? Totaling $1.6 billion? Yeah. Whoa. $1.6 billion, ladies and gentlemen. That's a lot of dogs. Anyway, they're just talking about, hey, you can get hot dogs all over the place. They're incredible. Hot dogs, although I like them quite a bit, not very good for you, people. They say there's all kinds of cancer-causing agents, et cetera, et cetera. I wish I could get somebody on from the hot dog and the sausage coalition or whatever you call this thing, right? Anyway, 7-Eleven has hot dog deals, and everybody does. Circle K. Anyway, Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steaks has deals. Love Stops. Garden Dogs. Shake Shack. I mean, everybody's got it going on, man. So there you have it. All right, I thought that was a very interesting, tidbit. I just didn't know that there was so much money wrapped up into the hot dog biz. But, man, from Memorial Day to Labor Day, it gets crazy, doesn't it? Wow. All right, next issue. And Liz, maybe you're from the younger generation than I am, and so maybe you can answer this thing. Have you seen this new, or I guess rejuvenated, I don't know what you call it, revamped, brought back trend? And I guess it's like a recent trend, but it was a trend, then it went away, and now it's come back. It's called I Woke Up in a New Bugatti. Are you familiar with this thing at all? Do you know about this, Liz? All right. Liz says it sounds familiar, but okay, so I guess this thing was hot, and then it was not, and now it's hot again. And I never knew it was hot in the first place, because I guess I'm too old for this. I woke up in a new Bugatti. They say this is a, quote, new, resurfaced internet trend, according to USA Today. Okay. The Bugatti Challenge, they say, features people sitting on the floor pretending to drive a car. Then someone off camera, I guess, pulls their feet to slide them out of the frame. So I guess it's like you're pretending to drive your car, and when they pull you out of the frame, you, I guess, left, right? Well, correct. You can't say left, right, can you? Anyway, correct? So they call it a TikTok trend from a few years back, has resurfaced with countless creators poking fun at its, quote, execution. The most viewed videos in the trend are actually those that don't go quite right. One of these videos was posted by, and again, I guess I'm just not in the news because I don't know any of these people. Austin Skovron, and Tafani Chance, known for her role in the reality television series Little Women. I didn't know that was a reality thing. I thought Little Women was like TV or a movie from years ago. I guess it's a deal. Anyway, Dallas. Anyway, so I guess they had this deal. And in the TikTok video, Chance is seen wearing a helmet, and she's wifed off camera at lightning speed, I guess. But when it's Skobron's turn, the two laugh as Chance struggles to pull him out of the frame. I guess she's just not strong enough to pull him out of the frame quickly. He's heavier or whatever. I knew that wasn't going to work, Skobron says, as Chance falls to the ground. Now, that's fine, okay, but I don't really find this very funny unless, Liz can explain this to me better. But as of July the 14th, and here's the whole reason I brought it up. When I first read about the trend, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just, I don't know who would even do this. Who would even waste their time? I guess the videos are kind of funny or whatever. But listen, as of July the 14th, this video had more than 23 million views. Anyway, I guess the funny part is how they do these things or whatever. Okay? So I guess there's another one, a skit version of the trend. Content creator Ross Smith pulls the legs of his grandma, affectionately known online as Granny Smith, but instead of Granny being pulled out of the frame as it's supposed to go, I guess these are like, I don't know what you call it, Bugatti bloopers. Anyway, Smith edited the video or used props so that it made it appear as if Granny's legs were just ripped off from the knee down. Okay? And I guess that was supposed to be super funny. Now, that one had more than 4.6 million views. And I guess they're doing this thing with not only people, they're doing it with pets. So they yank pets off screen. I don't really understand this. So you got to ask yourself, when did this thing start? Well, the trend date backs to 2023. So see how it's amazing. I wanted to bring this up because I can't believe these are getting millions and millions of views. But the interesting thing is this. When did it start? It dates back to 2023. So this thing started in 2023. It was a big blip. And then it went completely away, and now it's back. And the origin of this is unclear. Right? Now, I guess there's a daughter, a girl that gets yanked off screen. That when this first started, they don't know how it started, but they noticed that I guess this one has more than 16 million views as of July the 14th. A toddler is seen sitting on the floor before she is yanked off screen. Then the chorus, I woke up in a new Bugatti plays, I guess. And they want you to know that, the toddler is okay. They wrote this in the caption of the video or whatever. And so, people are wondering what a Bugatti is. It's a French automobile, I guess. It's a sports car. Company was founded by Italian automobile designer Ettore Bugatti in 1909. Now, just so you understand how much a Bugatti costs, I guess, $4.6 million for one of these babies, I guess, according to Motive or Automotive Magazine or whatever. I look at this and I just go, what is our society thinking? So if you talk about liberty, you talk about God, family, or country, you talk about life, liberty, or property, you talk about the news of the day, and hey, it's hard to get views. It's hard to get support. But if you literally sit on the ground and then somebody yanks you off screen and you have this home style, whatever video, and you happen to be a little bit famous there, 23 million views. Or if you're a toddler and it's kind of funny, 16 million views. And I just think, man, are we titillated with bread and circus till the cows come home? I mean, I can't even really understand this. Is it the bloopers part of this thing that's so compelling? I woke up in a new Bugatti bloopers. Is that kind of the deal now? Why would this be so popular? Is it funny, Liz, or what's the? I don't really get it. I know, but is it that funny though? I mean, of all the different things that you see bloopers or whatever, when people do crazy things and crash at high speed, and I mean, I get some of those are funny, but is this funny? Oh, it's like a little chuckle for 23 million views. Boy, do Americans need something else to do with their time, huh? Hang tight.
Why don't we say to the government writ large that they have to spend a little bit less? Anybody ever had less money this year than you had last? Anybody ever having a 1% pay cut? You deal with it. That's what government needs, a 1% pay cut. If you take a 1% pay cut across the board, you have more than enough money to actually pay for the disaster relief. But nobody's going to do that because they're fiscally irresponsible. Who are they? Republicans. Who are they? Democrats. Who are they? Virtually the whole body is careless and reckless with your money. So the money will not be offset by cuts anywhere. The money will be added to the debt, and there will be a day of reckoning. What's the day of reckoning? The day of reckoning may well be the collapse of the stock market. The day of reckoning may be the collapse of the dollar. When it comes, I can't tell you exactly, but I can tell you it has happened repeatedly in history when countries ruin their currency.
In the medical field, IT security is crucial. Our highly skilled consultants are HIPAA certified and have 20 plus years of experience servicing medical clinics, billing, and supply companies. We offer comprehensive endpoint protection, guarding your computers and servers against all stages of threats. And with our 24/7 monitoring services, you'll never worry about extensive downtime again. Ready to level up your IT support? Call 801-706-6980 today and discover how great IT services can be with managed IT services.
Step into the boots of the American West with Range Magazine, where grit meets grace. This is a front row seat to the stories, struggles, and triumphs of ranchers, farmers, and stewards of the land. From jaw-dropping photography to no-nonsense reporting, Range brings you the untold tales of life on the range. Whether you're a city dweller with a cowboy's heart or living life where the pavement ends, Range speaks to the soul of the West. Subscribe today at rangemagazine.com.
All right, back with you live, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm just astounded that these, videos can get so much, I don't know what you want to call it, play. People need more to do in society. I don't know if we're just bred and circused out or what. But I think about it, and I think 23 million views, 16 million views, 4 million views on this Bugatti thing. And I guess it's cool because it's got a cool little song. I woke up in a Bugatti. Everybody kind of wants the dream. It's kind of like the I'm going to buy a lottery ticket idea. Hey, I'm going to get rich. And when I get rich, it's going to be awesome. I mean, I get that component. I get the component where it's kind of funny. It's bloopers. It's like I woke up in a Bugatti bloopers or whatever. They're kind of cool. But I just think of all the I don't know, extreme stuff where people just get wrecked doing crazy things or whatever. I mean, I see that stuff because it's like high speed and people really get tweaked. And, people love blood and guts and gore and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I kind of get it. Or, everybody loves to see a good knockout in a boxing match. And, that's what the Romans were known for, is their ever increasingly violent, hostile, crazy, whatever stuff. But man, this Bugatti thing kind of baffles me. It seems so simple. Maybe I ought to do I woke up in a Bugatti skit. What do you think, Liz? Should I do my own I woke up in a Bugatti skit? Yeah, you'd have some blind person driving their Bugatti and crashing their $4 million car, kind of a thing. I'd probably get super rich if I did that, don't you think? I'd become a rock star for reals then. I just go, wow, this toddler, 16 million views for a toddler. I just go, man. All right, President Donald Trump is considering issuing an executive order. Now, I'm personally not fond of these executive orders. I'm grateful that Congress has started to codify a lot of what President Trump is doing, though, and I really am grateful for that because I don't believe executive orders are the way to govern. I believe the checks and balances are there in America for a reason, and they're there to protect us. They're there to make sure that the few don't gain power at the expense of the many. Okay? It's a brilliant strategy by the Founding Fathers. It has biblical origins of the three branches of government, the checks and balances, etc. But the reason I bring it up is because Trump now wants to do an executive order, possibly, to change the name of soccer to football in the United States. Now, are you familiar with this thing, Liz? All right. They want to align us with global naming conventions. So, you know, in America, we call soccer, but they around the world call it football, right? So Trump wants to change the name of soccer to football to, put us in line with global naming conventions. He mentioned this potential change during an interview with DAZN TV while watching and I don't even know what this is, but the World Cup final back on July the 13th or whatever. Trump, known for previous official name changes, such as renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, emphasized that renaming soccer would be straightforward. It'd be easy, is what kind of the idea is, right? This consideration comes as the U.S. prepares to, quote, co-host the Cup, the World Cup with Mexico and Canada. I didn't know we were hosting this and co-host the World Cup with Mexico and Canada. Did you know we were doing that, Liz? I just don't follow, I guess, the World Cup and soccer enough. Trump, who owned the New Jersey Generals in the 80s, I guess attended a recent match at the New Jersey's MetLife Stadium, noted that the sport's name change could easily be implemented. I just don't know about all that. Do we want to be in alignment with the world? Is, I guess, the question for Americans to consider. Do you want to change the name of soccer to football? I guess it's called soccer in Australia and the United States and a couple of other places, but for the most part around the world, and especially where, what word do I use? Soccer? Football is, so popular. If we change the name of soccer to football and we kind of match the rest of the world, then what would we call football? Soccer? I don't know. It's kind of a strange. Are you for renaming this, Liz? You don't want to name soccer football? I mean, that's the way it is around the world. Most people call it football. That would add to the confusion, Liz says. I think she's right. And the problem in my mind is that I agree that, we named football, but it doesn't make sense because football, I agree that you kick it when you want to, start the game. So you kick to the opponent or whatever. You kick if you can't, run the ball all the way down the field. So you kick it for a field goal. And there's times where you kick the ball, but 90% of what we call football, you don't use your feet anyway, do you? You hike the ball, someone grabs it, you throw it to somebody else, they run with it, they do all these different things. But kicking the ball is only, limited comparatively speaking, right? Anyway, so football makes much more sense for soccer because 90% of the time you're using your feet for soccer. It's certainly more football than football is. At the same time, I just don't know, man. We've had things tradition and we've had things the way they are for so long. It's kind of hard to know how to deal with that. It's just weird. Did you know that we're preparing to host the World Cup with Canada and Mexico? I had no idea. I just don't follow it, I guess. And that's the point. How many of us follow, I don't know what you call it, soccer or whatever, football, to the degree that a lot of people in the world do? I see some of these Hispanic countries or, South American countries. Football to them or soccer to us is like all consuming. They get national pride and country pride. They go crazy. If they lose, they riot. If they win, they celebrate. Either way, they tear everything apart, right? Anyway, there you have it. I kind of find this next headline interesting. Donald Trump today is celebrating over $90 billion in what they call AI and energy infrastructure investments at a summit in Pennsylvania, highlighting the U.S. advancement in artificial intelligence and energy independence. Now, I think it's cool that he's highlighting this, but I'm not really excited about this $90 billion. I mean, where's the money coming from? Right? And you say, well, Sam, we've got to have infrastructure. You know, you really got to decide some of this in America about infrastructure. Does the government need to invest in energy? Or can private sector invest in energy? Do we really need to update the national grid and promote this, national dependency? Hey, the grid goes out and everybody loses power. You know, I think we have 3 grids in America: the Western grid, the Texas grid, and the Eastern grid. I know that's very simplistic. Don't call me up if you're a power expert and beat me up on that general assessment. But we kind of have 3 grids, and I think that you can break those 3 grids apart and they can stand on their own. But most people can't produce or receive power on their own. And I guess I'm for a decentralization kind of a plan. You know, is there a role for government to play in some of this stuff? You know, along the way in America, they've deemed it, yes, that roads and power and internet, some of these things are more like utilities. Train tracks and some of these kind of things are more like utilities and less like. But the problem that I have with all that is, if you look at the Communist Manifesto, the Communist Manifesto highlights, hey, government control of transportation and communications and production and all these different things. And how much do we, cave to that narrative in this idea that, we got to have everything, centralized or controlled by government. And so on one hand, I appreciate Donald Trump out there celebrating over $90 billion of investment in our infrastructure. And I'm glad some of the power plants, coal power plants and stuff like that are coming back online, because desperately we need the power. I mean, especially if we're going to crank up electric automobiles and AI data centers, which are just absolutely power hungry and water hungry big time. I mean, I get that, hey, if we're going to embrace this new world, you got to drill, baby, drill, baby, drill. I get it. But I really question how much we should be having the government control our infrastructure and having central delivery of goods and services in this manner, whether it be train tracks or whatever to deliver products and services or people to places and destinations. Or whether it be transportation, whether it be communications. On one hand, you got Elon Musk controlling the communication satellite stuff, but yet how much is that government investing in a specific private business? When you have private delivery but government control by contract, is it fascism? Whether we deliver it through fascism, whether we deliver it through socialism, whether we deliver it through communism, every one of these concerns relate to government control of these things that are highlighted in the Communist Manifesto as the way they make a nation communist. Our Constitution doesn't speak of that. And there is the Commerce Clause. So, there's an appropriate role for government. But I submit to you that it should be much more limited than it's turning out to be. So I know a lot of people want to really celebrate, but I'm very concerned about that. Anyway, let's talk about illegal border crossings. We'll do it in seconds. You're listening to the one and only Liberty RoundTable Live.
Your daily Liberty News Wire. You're listening to Liberty News Radio.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Jason Walker. Good news for the Trump team. U.S. producer prices unchanged last month as wholesale inflation pressures remain under control. Labor Department says the PPI unchanged in June from May and up 2.3% from 1 year earlier. President Trump defending the 50-day window he's giving Moscow to reach a peace deal with Ukraine.
The president this week threatened to hit Russia with economic penalties if it fails to end its war with Ukraine within 50 days. And he pushed back on the idea that waiting 7 weeks is too long.
Oh, I don't think 50 days is very long, and it could be sooner than that. I don't think 50 days is very long.
The president said he's on neither Ukraine's side nor Russia's side.
You know what the side I'm on? Humanity's side.
Greg Clugston, the White House.
Also at townhall.com, Trump administration pushing $9.4 billion in cuts to NPR and PBS. House Speaker Mike Johnson says Congress has until the end of the week to pass a bill fulfilling Mr. Trump's request to cancel billions in previously approved spending.
The Friday deadline looms. We're encouraging our Senate partners over there to get the job done and to pass it as is. That's what we did. It reflects the intention and the view of the House. This in our view was low-hanging fruit.
And Johnson says Republicans want to defund the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
The NPR and PBS components this is in our view the misuse of taxpayer dollars. They're biased reporting. They're not objective. They pretend to be so. They have for a long time. And the people don't need to fund that. 2
people are dead in New Jersey after their car was swept up in floodwaters. Meanwhile, New York subway system fully operational, but a number of roads and highways in the Northeast are still closed. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. You work hard, you build wisely, your home has become one of your greatest assets. If you're staying put this summer, this might be the perfect time to put that equity to work. Whether it's funding a second home, helping your kids get their start, or simply creating more margin in your financial life, Mike and Brian at Fellowship Home Loans are the only ones I trust to guide you through it. They've done loans for my family. They tailor every loan to fit your goals. Fellowship is a direct lender and operates with your best interest in mind. If you're looking to access your equity through a refi or exploring a HELOC for some cash this summer for a second property or maybe tackle those updates you've been putting off, start with people you trust, people I trust. Go to fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, or call 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-6453, Fellowship Home Loans. Mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, DBA Fellowship Home Loans, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 819382.
Are you ready to stand up for your community and support your local sheriff? Join the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association and become a vital member of the Sheriff's Citizens Posse. At cspoa.org, we empower citizens like you through weekly webinars, arming you with the knowledge to back your constitutional county sheriff. Together, we can uphold our Constitution and ensure liberty and justice for all. Your community needs you now more than ever.
This is a battle between truth and deceit. A battle between forces that would enslave this country in darkness and between a media that wants to present you with the truth. We are being censored. America's news outlets no longer provide the truth. 90% of news outlets in the United States are controlled by 6 corporations. The mission of the Epoch Times is to chase the truth, to ground all statements in fact.
TheEpochTimes.com.
Attention collectors and savvy investors. We are excited to announce a momentous evolution in our journey. Introducing Free Water Coin Company, formerly known as Rust Coin and Gift. This rebranding takes us back to the very roots of where it all began, Free Water, Oregon. It's a tribute to the legacy of Al Rust and a celebration of 3 generations of dedication to excellence in the world of coins and precious gifts. Al, Brian, and Jake Rust standing strong through 64 years of service. Discover a world of exceptional service at Free Water Coin Company, your premier destination for genuine, honest money and precious gifts. Under Brian's expert guidance, Free Water Coin Company, building on the legacy of Rust Coin and Gift, continues its tradition of trust and excellence. Visit us at our Provo, Utah location. Explore our treasures online at freewatercoinco.com or call us at 801-377-1574. Free Water Coin Company, where your future is built one honest coin at a time.
Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty RoundTable Radio Talk Show.
All right, Liberty RoundTable Live. Sam Bushman breaking down news that others refuse to use, tidbits for you. My unique take, as always, using God, family, country, life, liberty, and property as my guide, using the proper role of limited constitutional government as the standard. So President Trump is out celebrating $90 billion investment in AI and energy infrastructure. I support it, but I hope it's private sector paying for it. And I hope when we crank up these things that we do so in the private sector. I don't want government partnership and involvement. I don't want a fascist kind of thing where we pretend that it's privately, owned and controlled, but yet the government really controls it. All these roads lead to communism, whether it's fascism, socialism, whatever. The Communist Manifesto calls for centralized control of all these resources: transportation, communications, production, manufacturing, et cetera, et cetera. So I appreciate that, but we need to be very careful and look at it with kind of a sideways look, going, do we really want this? And how does it really look in practice? Because when we talk about it publicly, it sounds great, but in practice, it may be a whole lot more along the lines of government encroaching on private property and free enterprise if we're not very, very careful indeed. Just my congratulations to Donald, but also a warning about what road we're really going down. I support the decentralization of a lot of these core services, even though, people think, we don't have any choice, man. You got to have it. They're public utilities. I know, but don't deceive yourself into the Communist Manifesto without realizing what you're embracing, people. Illegal border crossings in the U.S. reached what they call all-time low? They called it record lows. I don't know if that means all-time or not, but there you have it. In June, following the implementation of Trump's stringent immigration policies. I love it. I think it's phenomenal. And let me explain why I love it, people, because I don't want you to be confused. Because it says illegal border crossings. I'm fine with crossing the border legally. And I'm also fine with immigrants coming to the United States if they do so legally, properly, right? It's something that I really support. Anyway, I find that great news. Good news. Congratulations. A victory lap, whatever you want to call it, goes to the president on this one. Again, it's about illegality. Now, we hear that President Trump is considering granting amnesty. And I don't want President Trump to work on a mass amnesty plan for anybody. I really don't. Okay. However, in Trump's defense, I do want Trump to think about a justice and mercy plan for immigration. I don't like this harsh, everybody's just going to be sent off to third world countries. Now, President Trump, I guess, has sent some illegals to some third world country that I can't even pronounce the name of it. I've never heard of the country, to be honest with you. And I know that would say, well, Sam, that's why you're just, completely ignorant, sheltered, and you don't have a clue. You're probably right. I don't deny that, but I will say that's the case for most Americans as well. We're not international geography experts. We don't know everything about everything. But when we ship these people off, Trump is saying it'll be a deterrent. You'll go to this third world country, and it's very hard to leave that country because it takes money and it's far by ocean or whatever. I think it's a great deterrent, and I support that too. Okay? But I really want to make sure we bring common sense to this discussion. And the common sense discussion that I want about this is saying to ourselves, hey, we don't support amnesty. Amnesty is not the answer. We don't want an amnesty plan, President Trump. We really don't. So please don't go down that road. But we do want a justice and mercy plan. If you're a hardcore thug criminal and you're really a bad guy, in this case, the term thug really applies. If you're a person that murders and plunders and rapes and pillages and, is a violent criminal, you come from jails, prisons from other nations or whatever like that, hey, we need to deal with you very harshly and justly, no question about it. Justice must be served. The American people and people around the world must be protected. At the same time, if you're a person that's come here to no fault of your own, you came here as a DACA child or youngster, or you come here meaning well, that you just want a better life, you truly do need amnesty because your country is not safe to raise a family. I get the reasons you're here. And believe it or not, I will admit I would come, even if I had to come to the United States illegally, if it meant a chance for a better life for my children. I get that view, those ideas. And I think if you come here and the only crime you've committed is you've crossed the border illegally, but you're willing to work hard, you're willing to become a United States citizen, you're willing to learn our language, you're willing to learn about the supreme law of the land, the Constitution, about our checks and balances, about how and everybody else would say the word democracy, but I'm going to reject that too, how a constitutional republic works, and you really want to become part of that, and you're really willing to divorce yourself completely from your foreign nation and your foreign ties, and you really want to be an American, and, okay, I am willing to say we need a mercy plan for you. We need to bring you forward and put you on the payroll. What do I mean by payroll? Well, listen carefully. We the people make the money and we pay out all kinds of government services. Many of them I don't justify or support, but we need to get you on the tax rolls so that you're on the payroll. What do I mean? I don't mean you get a check on the payroll. I mean that you're part of the payees or payers. You can pay your taxes. You can become above board. You can participate in the blessings of the greatest country on the face of the earth. I believe that God Almighty would support a justice and mercy plan. And so those who want to be my critics don't attack me too hard. I actually wrote a justice and mercy immigration plan that I really think would help with this discussion. I remember I'm a self-appointed Donald Trump advisor, right? And in that capacity, then I wrote a plan on immigration that I think Donald Trump should follow. And it really relates to that. It's like, if you're a hardened criminal, we're going to deal with you very harshly. If you're a person that really wants a better life and we can vet you and confirm you and you have a track record of being in America, look, we don't want you to jump in front of the line. That's not fair either. But can there be appropriate penalties? How can we vouch for your character? Well, if your employer is willing to say, this guy's worked for me for 10 years, he's had no problems, he's been a solid, good worker, let's not abuse the employer or the employee here. Let's say that person's not a problem in society, and let's move beyond them and not make them feel threatened. Let's make sure that innocent children and wives and husbands and innocent parties don't suffer as a result of our deportation programs. So I support deportation for illegals for sure, and I do not support amnesty under any circumstances, but I do support appropriate ways forward based on this concept of a sliding scale of justice to mercy. And we need to vet each individual illegal alien and say, where on that scale do they sit? And then we'll create an appropriate plan for what category you belong in. Hey, let's say you're not a hardened violent criminal, but you've got some crimes. You've got some speeding tickets, or maybe you've stolen something, but you're not violent. Well, you don't belong in the category of just the people that want a better life, but you also don't belong in the hardcore criminal category. There's a way and a place for you. In fact, isn't that what God kind of teaches, that there's many mansions in his heavens? And, he's going to bless us where we should go, where we belong, based on, how we treat those around us and how we live our lives, what our thoughts and actions are. According to our hearts will he judge us. Isn't Christ the perfect judge? We need to try to mirror that in how we deal with those around us, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Apple's in the news. Apple announced a $500 million, so a $500 million investment in what they call MP materials to secure a U.S. source for rare earth magnets, supporting Trump's initiative to decrease American reliance on the communist nation of China for mineral resources. I think this is great news. Again, the Trump administration deserves a lot of credit for this one. They really do. And I'm not picking sides here. I'm just saying, hey, in America, we need these magnets. We need rare earth magnets and all kinds of things. And we need to make sure that we have other sources, not just China. And I think that's healthy to have multiple sourcing of products and goods and services, especially things that are hard to get a hold of. If we're going to depend on them in our society, we better make sure we have, a lot of ways to have those. Otherwise, we could be over a barrel. And that's kind of been my problem with our relationship with China, giving them the most favored nation trading status and everything else, as they build a military engine like you've never seen off the backs of the American people purchasing their products. We do it innocently, but ignorantly, if you will. Innocently meaning we don't mean any harm, but ignorantly meaning we don't realize that our money is going towards building the communist Chinese military industrial complex. Really, we're building our own demise, if you will. So I appreciate Apple doing this. Good for them. Major retailers have been accused of using Trump's tariffs as the excuse to artificially raise prices. Wow. Despite having sufficient margins to absorb the costs. That's a debate worth having, isn't it? Hang tight. We'll talk about it on your radio.
Looking for an IT partner that truly understands your needs? Managed IT Services is the answer. We meet with you regularly to discuss your goals and form a tailored technology plan. Our customers have called us a trusted advisor who delivers. When it comes to IT, we do it all. Firewalls, cloud storage, server migration, and more. Say goodbye to long-term contracts and hello to a team that earns your business month after month. Call 801-706-6980 now and let Managed IT Services transform your IT experience.
Have you ever had great honey? No, I mean really good, all-natural, raw honey? Well, now you can, thanks to localhoneyman.com. We can ship out our locally made honey all across the U.S. So don't worry, you won't miss out. Plus, Local Honeyman has so many different flavors, like Utah Wildflower, High Desert Delight, Happy Valley, and Blackberry, just to name a few. So purchase your delicious raw honey today at localhoneyman.com.
You know where the solution can be found, Mr. President? In churches, in wedding chapels, in maternity wards across the country and around the world. More babies will mean forward-looking adults, the sort we need to tackle long-term, large-scale problems. American babies in particular are likely going to be wealthier, better educated, and more conservation-minded than children raised in still industrializing countries. As economist Tyler Cowen recently wrote, quote, "By having more children, you're making your nation more populous, thus boosting its capacity to solve climate change. The planet does not need for us to think globally and act locally so much as it needs us to think family and act personally. The solution to so many of our problems, at all times and in all places, is to fall in love, get married, and have some kids."
All right, back with you live. Major retailers have now been accused of using Trump's tariffs as an excuse to artificially raise prices despite, they say, having sufficient profit margins to absorb the costs. And this is I don't really know how to respond to this because I believe there's some truth in it and I think it's wrong. At the same time, they did the same thing when it came to COVID, right? COVID came and companies restricted their hours big time. Walmart was famous for this. They used to have Walmarts open 24/7 or whatever. And hey, we're only closed on Christmas or whatever the case may be, and Thanksgiving or whatever. And, but then it got to where, they're going to close at like 9 or 10 p.m. and open at 6 a.m. And, we're going to have limited staff and limited hours. And then prices went up as a result of all that. And so basically, it's the classic, we're going to give you greater costs but less goods or services. Around COVID time, too, all of a sudden the potato chip bags got smaller and the cost was the same. So you really got less, even though the cost was the same. It's really the cost went up because you can either make the bag smaller or the dollars go up, but in reality it's the same. You're getting less for more. And that seems to be what's been going on for the last, ever since Trump took office in 2016, as far as I can see. And, Joe Biden was, mentioning it, and the way he kind of worded it was goofy and people made fun of him. But he's like, hey, you got less chips in your chip bag. And, even though we laugh at that because he didn't deliver it very well, the sad part is he was right about that. And that's one thing I really notice about politics that's interesting to me, is I notice that it doesn't matter what side you're on. if you embrace partisan politics, which the founding fathers said avoid parties. Parties are bad news. Parties will become the enemy of a free people. And I agree with them 100%. And this is an example of this. You know, it's interesting. The Republicans, when they're not in charge, they're truth tellers. They tell you like it is. Hey, the Obama health care bill or Obamacare, it's bad news. We got to reject it. We're against it. But then when they're in power, then the Democrats start to tell the truth because they're not in power. The party not in power tends to be truth tellers. The party in power tends to be the cover-up artists. And we see this over and over and over. So President Trump introduced an interactive map detailing the financial benefits for each state under the one big, beautiful bill, which provides, they say, wage increases for Americans and tax relief and everything else. I believe that's true. But a lot of the truth tellers are saying, hey, yeah, but these big retailers are taking advantage of us with this. They're right about that. Home Depot founder Ken Langone, I think is how you say his name, expressed strong support for Donald Trump's leadership in a recent interview, crediting him with what he calls with potentially historic presidential achievements. I get that, and I see why, because I think businesses are starting to do a little bit better under Donald Trump. Now, let me kind of throw in a little bit of correction here, because the Democrats want you to believe that, hey, these companies are just taking massive margins. And I think they are, and I think it's wrong. However, again, the founding fathers warned us, you know, big business is just as bad as big government in many cases. We don't support big business. The founding fathers wanted most of us to not work for the man, but be the man, so to speak. And to be the man means you got to be an entrepreneur. You got to own your own business. And so the founding fathers were very pro small business, very pro entrepreneur, very pro work for yourself. And as society continues to evolve and change, the big corporation has taken over and small business is out of business. I mean, Alan Jackson wrote a song about the little man, talking about, and this has nothing to do with anything pornographic or weird, this just the business owner, the small business guy just gets shut down because big business ends up getting all kinds of tax deals and special privileges. And this is a lot of what we're talking about. That fight's real. And both sides have a real point to make. And we just need to think about it that way. I want to be my own business owner. I want to, for the most part, work for myself or work for small businesses that work for themselves. But we see a lot of these big corporations taking money off the table. And big corporations, naked capitalism does that. The free market based on moral principles, the free enterprise system, small business doesn't do that. Oftentimes they reward those who they're involved with or who make them what they are. Anyway, I digress, except for I'm saying Donald Trump's doing a good job in many ways with this. But if we're not very careful, this big AI boom, this big AI deal is going to really change the game. It's going to make big business huge business. It's going to shut down a lot of the small businesses. But then the big business isn't going to need very many employees either. And I think there'll be a lot of new jobs related to AI. So I'm not one of those guys that run around and says the sky is falling. Because I believe that, every new revolution or change, and I don't mean revolution in a violence or a political sense. I just mean, the Industrial Revolution or whatever. Whenever we have a big change, everybody thinks the sky is falling. They thought radio was dead when TV came. They thought newspapers were dead when radio came. Now, sometimes things will be dead if new technology eclipses it. Let me give you an example. Newspapers are primarily dead in the old-fashioned, we're going to print and we're going to distribute manually to your door because everybody can do it on the internet now, much faster and cheaper. So the internet, to some degree, was an old newspaper killer. And radio's changing. The AM, FM radio stations are hard to run unless you're a big player, quote, clear channel, pardon the term. I don't mean to talk about the company. I just mean the concept. When you have a big radio station that goes far and you got a lot of coverage in a big market and you can make money, they're doing well. extremely well. But the average small radio station is suffering. It's hard to keep a radio station running. That's why a lot of them are shutting down and all this kind of stuff, because it's so hard to run them. It's so expensive. But the internet's way cheaper. That's why Liberty News Radio and the Loving Liberty Radio networks and stuff, why we have internet streams and we don't own radio stations anymore. I owned a radio station, and it's very, very difficult to keep those stations alive. You got to have a salesperson. You got to have accounting people. You got to have, pay the government their slice. It's expensive. Anyway, I digress. But the White House reports that core inflation has remained stable and has met targets, with real wages increasing and key consumer prices declining under the Trump administration. Now, that comes from the Trump News Wire. What I find interesting is if you go to whitehouse.gov/wire, you'll get Trump's news stories every day. This was an idea that I was begging for Trump to do for years, and he finally did it. I don't know that I can take credit for it, but I can just tell you that I was asking this to happen. This is Trump's perspective. Now, the reason I bring these stories up that are so positive for Trump is because I think he deserves a lot of credit. There's a lot of good things happening. Now, are there some concerns? Yes, there are. And I always bring those up as well. But I want to be balanced in my discussions. It isn't about Trump. It's about the economy. And you can gauge for yourself. Are you doing well? Are you doing better than you were under Biden? Right now, it's pretty hard to tell. I don't notice a lot of difference. I know this. I'm a lot less scared of going to jail under Donald Trump than I was Joe Biden. I feel like there's hope on the horizon for the economy because I believe that Donald Trump is really trying, even though I know they passed this big, beautiful bill, in my opinion, very irresponsible. But now Trump's trying to push for this, big cut. It's not a huge cut, but it's a start, right? So Vice President JD Vance just cast the tie-breaking vote in the Senate for the DOGE cuts package, advancing it with a 51-50 vote despite opposition from Republican Senators Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, of Alaska and Maine, respectively. Trump has called for us to get this passed, and now I guess it has to go back to the House because they made some changes, but it's supposed to save, $9+ billion. I know that's a drop in the bucket. I know that's pennies, ladies and gentlemen. But I really want you to think about it and say, is it a good thing? And I say yes. The question are there devils in the details for this story? I pray not, but predict so. Sadly, it's so hard to know when people do what's right or wrong, or you get this big bill. I just know this. I support the reduction of spending. And I am grateful that they're working on it. I wish that it was way bigger, but it's a start. President Trump has tried to decrease expenses. He's laying people off. He's cutting government. Is it enough? No. Do we need more? Yes. Do I want to give him credit for what he's accomplished? Absolutely. It's really important, folks, that we be kind. All right, I want to just end on this last thing. Remember I told you yesterday the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, that's what it used to be called. Now it's called the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square. One of the oldest and largest choral organizations. One of the longest running church broadcast services in the world. They've been going every single week without fail since 1929, and now they have their 5,000th broadcast. What a milestone, and a big shout out and congratulations to them. All right, stay tuned. That's only hour one. I've got the second hour with a whole lot more news the networks refuse to use straight ahead. I'm Sam Bushman. You are listening to hard-hitting news the networks refuse to use. It is indeed Liberty Roundtable Live at libertyroundtable.com, or we're nationally syndicated by the Loving Liberty Radio Networks. Download their iPhone or Android phone and listen, or simply listen online at lovingliberty.net. God save our republic.